What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're just looking at the guts of the BBS02. We're looking at the guts. We're seeing what's going on. I pulled the JB welded rotor out of the motor guts. I'm just kind of looking at this. I took this cover off and I'm looking at this while it's still on the bike. Just make sure there's nothing funny happening here. Alright, well, I mean, this seems okay. The pedaling portion of the bike seems okay. Like I pedaled it quite a ways back from Minnesota into Wisconsin on my way back home on that maiden voyage, and it was still pedaling just fine. So I think the problems are kind of over in the motor. But all right, so let's get this thing off the bike. All right, guys, so I've got the motor apart. Here's my nylon gear. I took the little ring off of it, snap ring or whatever you call those things. So there's my grease all over the place. So let's pull this baby out and see what's going on with it. So as you can see, there's an excessive amount of this grease that got down in here, and then it looks. So here's the bearings down in here, guys. This little one is 628 RS. And then the big one says 16002 RS. I think this thing is still okay. This pinion gear feels okay. It's rotating nicely. Feels pretty good. I don't know. The bearing down in here, I kind of just rolled it like this a little bit. I mean, it's hard to tell if there's anything wrong with the bearing just by dinking around with it with your fingers, but I don't know. I mean, the 6.2, how does that say? 628 RS? I don't know. I mean, it seems okay. I don't know. So I cleaned some of the grease out of here. It's not so greasy. I don't want it so greasy. So now I'm going to clean off this nylon gear. It's got that moly grease on it and inside of it. So I want to get that out of inside of there and off the side of it. Like there's just too much grease that was on the side of it here and then down in here. So, I mean, I don't think we want that nylon gear like dragging down in a grease pit down there like it was. So that was potentially a problem. So I'm going to clean up this nylon gear a little bit. So as I was just kind of staring here looking at this thing and cleaning off my nylon gear, I mean, it seems like the nylon gear, I wasn't sure about it, but then I keep cleaning it off, and the more I clean it off, the more it seems okay. Like, I don't know. I can't see anything that's really wrong with this. You know, with the teeth, the nylon teeth. But I was sitting here and I was just staring at this, and I was looking at this this pinion gear. So there's this sprag clutch inside of the nylon gear, and it's pretty advanced in there. We're gonna look at that again in a second. I was looking down at this, And I was noticing how there's that little like line kind of right in the middle of this thing. I was wondering, well, what is that line from? And then so I'm looking at this nylon gear, and it's, you know, it's got, it looks like it must have like, I don't know if the sprag clutch consists of like these like 3 bearings inside of this, or what is considered what. I mean, there's just one HFL 1423, and then it looks like it's like a directional bearing, and this one is counterclockwise, is the way that it's shown on here. I only noticed this in like by chance, just kind of looking at this thing. But let's see if I can get the light on it in here. Where'd it go? So I'm gonna set this thing down and see if I can zoom my phone in on it. Can you see that little roller right there? Let's see. So see how those rollers look in the center, and then as I'm going around, look at the edge of that one. It looks like that broke. That one that's at the bottom. So I think this little bearing, or that the spray clutch, or whatever this thing is inside of this nylon gear, that little roller down in there broke. So it seems like the nylon gear was a casualty of the 72 volt BBS02 there. You can see it in that lighting right there. Look at that. Ouch. So who knows if that is working properly, or... I mean, the motor's still working. It's just really loud and it sounds rough, so... Oh, interesting. So I just looked it up on Amazon, and I guess there it is. But the thing is it's $8, and I'm not sure how you get this. I mean, you must. How does that thing get into this gear? I don't know. But I guess it's called a one-way needle bearing clutch, needle roller bearings. So that's interesting, but I'm not sure how you would get that thing in the nylon gear. Alright guys, so what I learned last time is the thermal glue can handle the heat, but the thermistor and those little tiny wires coming off of the thermistor, you want to keep away from the heat. So I'm going to glue the thermistor on here like this. Make sure it's soldered on there good, nothing's all goofy. And that's going to hang down a little bit. It's got a peculiar shape to it. And I gooped a bunch of thermal glue down here. And it's kind of like drooping down onto a couple of the windings. So when I put this thing back together and it's all dried, that should just basically press together and be kind of like a press fit thermistor. It got annoying when the thermistor was glued in here, but then the legs of it had to be soldered onto this board, and I was trying to take this board on and off. It's a lot easier to pull the rotor out when you take this board off. So I like having the ability to remove this board, so I'm just going to glue it on right here. And it'll just press up against that. And it seemed like the glue was able to handle the heat, so we're going to see how that works when it just kind of like dries, and then it'll be pressing together and like glue blobs, thermal glue blobs. Amazon.com, Jeff Bezos. Affiliate link below. So I was thinking, well, man, the magnets came out of that thing. They went flying all over, and I think what ultimately caused this motor to get stuck was like 5 of the magnets came loose, and they were just like all jammed up in between the shape that they were supposed to fit in. They just like came out, but they're all jammed up inside of here, right? So like JB welded them back in here. I don't know. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about this. It's a lot noisier now, this JB welded rotor. I mean, I think it's causing things to be like really noisy. But in terms of the bearings, like, I'm feeling this one. I don't know. It seems okay. And I've got it plugged in down there, down in the hole. And I'm just spinning it. I'm just spinning it, and I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's spinning pretty straight. I thought I might have bent it. So I use a little bit of leverage with this. I would get the wrench. I had like a towel around the twisty gear on the rotor, and I just took this wrench, and if you put the wrench against the screw and then grab that rotor twisty gear with this thing, and just you can pry against that screw in the case, and that's kind of how I'm able to pull this thing out. And it doesn't seem like it bent it at all, because if you bent that thing when I was pulling it out, like if I bent it, I think it would be a pretty noticeable thing, like it could, you know, because it would just be wobbling, like. So it seems like it's still spinning pretty true between these bearings, and I've been feeling this one the whole time, and it spins pretty good. I don't know. And then it's hard to feel that one that's down in there, but I was spinning around just kind of like my pinky finger a little bit, and it seemed like it was spinning. So I don't know, like, these bearings seem like they're okay. So I don't know. I think maybe there's just a little bit of extra JB weld on this thing that's kind of rubbing somewhere. I looked in here, and I don't know. I mean, I don't really see. It looks like maybe something is kind of possibly rubbing towards the middle of the rotor, about halfway across it. And then maybe up towards the top of it, something is rubbing, or I don't know. I mean, it just seems like that's where the marks are in here. I don't know, like, does this stuff come out? Let's see. I don't know. But what I'm thinking is, so this thermistor that I had installed started melting, and I can just like feel the wires just like sticking out in every, like, look at this. All of these wires of this thermistor, I think, just melted out. I don't know. I'm not exactly, like, it seemed like it was still working. The temperature still seemed right, but look at this thing. Like, this thing totally melted. And I had it installed down in here. So that was a big problem. I mean, if that thermistor, if those wires were between, you know, between those windings, that wouldn't have been good. So I'm interested to see if this thermistor melting in between the coils and the windings, I'm interested to see what, if anything, what effects that was having, if anything. And then the rotor, I don't know. This JB welded stuff, I'm able to kind of like scrape it off with a knife, like a razor blade, in a pretty precise fashion. Like this high heat JB weld stuff, I can kind of like scissor it off with a razor blade. So I think I'm just gonna do that a little bit more, and then put this thing back in there. And I'm gonna get a different thermistor back in there. Where do you guys think I should put the thermistor in this motor? Before I had it like this, you know, it was like down in between there, but I'm pretty sure this thing was in between two of those. In between those, like, you know, bad news bears, probably. You know, this thing totally melted. So, let me know in the comments, how hot can these thermistors get? I'm curious about that. I mean, apparently it got too hot, right? I don't understand how it seemed like it was still showing a temperature today. I don't know. Maybe it was still working somehow, but I think that was affecting my speed signal and causing some phase runner funny business, but this is how I'm greasing it up this time, guys. Is that too much? Not enough? Let me know in the comments, smart guy. What's up, dudes? We're back out. I got a new name for this bike. It's called the Screamin' Banshee. So I've got the power set to 770 or about 800 watts max. We're just cruising around. So I scraped some of the JB weld off of the rotor. It doesn't seem as loud anymore. It's still pretty loud. I might take it out again and like get a file or something and like file it down. I think the rotor might be scraping and that's the noise, and it might be causing a little bit of heat too, just from friction. So the motor's at 49C. I guess I should probably set up like the temperature thresholds here. Let's see. It definitely sounds like I think the rotor is just rubbing or something. It could be that sprag clutch too. I only hear that noise when it's under power. Alright, so GoPro view, maybe we could just tilt it back a little bit. Oh, there we go. Alright, so let's go to the speedometer app and get that ad out of the way. there's a conspiracy in the speedometer app, and it like, oh, it always, I thought it waited until you started moving to do the ad, which is like just evil. All right, so what was I doing? We're going into the temp sensor. It's set to B equals 3900, so that's the 10K NTC thermistor. Oh, thresh temp 115. I don't know if that's a good idea. When it gets to 55C, well, actually, man, the temperatures can jump so crazily on this thing. I'm gonna say when it gets to 50C, it's gonna start the rollback, and then I'm gonna set the max temp to 60. All right. So the temp sensor, it says 2.65 volts, 38.3 degrees. So, all right. So I backed off the max power down to 1700 watts, but currently I have it on 778 watts peak. So let's see what happens. Let's see how it's gonna go. All right, so this is about 800 watts. It's making some noise. So what happens when I shift it in? So the temperature is increasing. So I'm just gonna ride it around at like 800 watts and see, like, does it keep getting hotter or what happens? I gotta fix this sticky throttle. It's very hard to pedal. So it's 50C, so it's like cutting off. That just seems crazy. It's still getting a little hotter, so now it's going back down. So, I mean, what about 600 watts? Like, can we ride around on 600 watts? Can it handle that? Alright, so we're back down to 600 watts. Oh my god. Dogs don't like the screaming banshee, that's for sure. So it's at 54 again. I mean, man, my legs are a better motor than this damn thing. So what if I just tell it 200 watts? Like, just give me something. Oh. This thing is pretty gimpy compared to the HD, like.
So I have a small chainring at home. I think I might try it with a small chainring. I don't know what kind of a chain line I'm gonna have. So it says it's at 50 degrees C. It just heats up so quick. So we're on... It cools down quick too. So we're on 800 watts. On right here. It's doing 400 watts and it's still like building heat. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that rotor out and just sand it down a little bit. I'm really pretty surprised by how poorly the O2 handled 72 volts compared to the BBS HD. Like, I thought I had problems with the HD, but that was nothing like this. This thing was just like falling apart. We got the JB welded screaming Banshee rotor installed. We got to go sand off some of that JB weld and see if it sounds any better. I know this is just like an exercise in futility, guys, and I could buy a whole new motor core for $100, but it's just kind of fun to me to try and figure out what these problems are. So Yeah, the motor core got a little messed up. Maybe some bearings are messed up. But I could get a whole new motor core on AliExpress for $100. So we're gonna keep ripping on the screaming Banshee till the parts come. It's getting hot. 60C. Oh. Alright, well that's Screaming Banshee, boys. We took it for a ride. It's thermal throttling. I'm gonna go mess around with it some more. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment.